Brandon og Maggie er
There is nothing wrong with America.
Hello and welcome to Don't Feed the Gondolas. It's been a week in which Limerick Tourism staged a Limerick competition. Entries had to start with the line, "In Limerick once where I did stay." However, despite the £3,000 first prize, many of the country's leading poets withdrew from the contest, complaining that it's impossible to find anything to rhyme with the word stab wound. With Dara O'Brien tonight, the man who single-handedly keeps Fair Isle jumpers in business, it's Michael Lester. And with Brendan O'Connor, she's talented, intelligent and beautiful. And she's also seen Miley Byrne's penis. It's that trollop Fidelma from Glenroe, Willis McMahon. Props in the News is almost certainly the name of our first round unless someone has a better idea at the last minute. Which they obviously haven't. Our players are given a number of suggestively shaped props from which they must glean the identities of big shots who have appeared in the papers this week. Dara and Michael, you go first. What have you got?
We've been given an address book filled with loads of addresses, and we've also been given this, which I love, the sing-along electric guitar, which most people, music lovers, will recognise this as being the instrument that they mean when Boyzone say, "We play all our own instruments." Because they always do one recording where Ronan goes, "Love me for a reason," and the sound guys goes, "That's magic, Ronan, that's lovely, yeah, don't worry, we'll tidy it up. First time, well done." But I think this is one of these gifts which parents would love to see appearing under the Christmas tree. You know, Christmas Day would be fantastic. I think it's about Santa Claus and addresses and all that.
No, actually, that is funny you should mention Boyzone, because their manager, what's his name, Louis Walsh, saw Brendan on the programme last week doing his Frank Patterson impersonation. He says, "Jesus, that's my next act." Big zone. So Brendan has to play this. And he's going to do a recording of Tiptoe Through the Gondolas with yourself.
Very good. Yeah, I'm not complaining this thing.
Sorry, can I just get this right? Are you getting smart now, yeah? Just once I know.
No.
Big zone and kick the shit out of zone, I think.
We go for that. I personally, the address book is to do with that Santa Claus is going to bless houses with this, because this is the kind of thing that halfway through Christmas Day you can see a kid arriving into the kitchen with a guitar-shaped lump in his neck and going, "I don't think Dad's going for the guitar very much." That's my guess.
It's actually a list of people that have lent money to Charlie Haughey. It was found in a dump out in Castledock, I think. Brendan O'Connor, £20.
Okay, well, I'll give you a point for the big zone answer. Though it's absolutely incorrect. The actual answer is, of course, the British Prime Minister Tony Blair. Now, he was in a band and he addressed the doll this week. That's why we gave them those two. Sorry. That. Now, this is not Tony's first visit to Dublin. A few years back, he came over to meet the then Taoiseach, John Bruton. At the time, Tony was shocked to learn what is common knowledge among TDs here, that John Bruton is actually completely bald. And he only slips on this really bad wig for public appearances. So we have some VT of John and Tony's first public appearance together. As you can see, like, Tony just can't keep his eyes off it. He's going, "Look at this, it's awful! How can he do that in public?" So, Brendan and Eunice, what do you have?
We have a Union Jack. Don't all cheer at once now. And some ping pong paddles. So obviously this is about the visit of Tony Blair last week as well, in some way. And you know that when Tony Blair addressed the Dáil, it was actually the first time ever that they had a full house in the Dáil during pub opening hours. Because it was also a good excuse to get what's his name, Jerry Adams, into the Dáil. And did you see, he was sitting up in the public gallery observing the whole thing, thinking, "Ha ha ha, someday all this will be mine." As regards the answer to the question, I presume, is this something to do with these paddles or what the Unionist canoe is without at the moment, maybe?
No, it's probably the decommissioning of the paddles, I would reckon.
800 years of ping pong.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And rumour has it it's going to be rackets next, definitely. Yes, no?
Well, no, unfortunately. I'll give you another point for getting sort of close, because it is to do with Tony Blair's visit. The actual answer is the Reverend Ian Paisley, who surprisingly condemned Tony Blair's visit here, claiming that Tony was sending coded messages to the IRA, sort of like, hey, IRA, that kind of thing. Now, Dr. Paisley also claimed this weekend that Daniel O'Connell was a sexual deviant. Now, this is from a man who likes to be known as Big Ian. Now, however, a few other unionists have supported this stance. Even hardline groups such as the Apprentice Boys are taking a more liberal, open-minded attitude. Just this weekend, in fact, the Apprentice Boys rehearsed with their first gay member. So, after all that prancing, the scores are that Dara's team got 1 point and Brendan's team got 1 point. What's going on here is the sort of thing Shane McGowan probably says if only anyone could understand him. It's also the name of our next round, during which the teams will be shown a bit of videotape and must then tell us what is going on here. Dara and Michael, for you, of course, we have a great sporting moment.
And it's still continuing, and that is really very ugly.
Oh, very ugly indeed, yeah. That was obviously a fight during a GA football match. We did actually look for a clip of a fight during a hurling match, but when we looked at the tapes, we couldn't really tell the difference between hurling and fighting. So what happens? What's going on there, do you think?
That's actually very well known. I know we're supposed to make up something about this, but like that's Jack O'Shea. It's a Munster final.
Just before that happened, he said, I hear they're looking for you to be on Don't Feed the Gondolas. And Jacko said, well, yeah, dirty foul-mouthed bastard. Planted him. So,
He's just mad, this guy. He's mad. The fact remains, right, that it's Jack O'Shea. It was a Munster final where somebody tackled Jacko in a place where Jacko already had tackle.
All right, yes.
The discreet way to put it. It's very famous. I think it's Conor Coonan anyway, did a bit of a groupie, roundy thing, right? And Jack, obviously, as you can see, got very agitated about the whole thing.
Yes.
And retaliated. Now, the thing was, the referee immediately sent Jack off, not because it was a particularly bad piece of retaliation, but because the other Kerry player said, would you send him for an early bath? Because when he's in this state, we really don't want to be in the bath with him.
Well, okay, I'll give you 3 points for that because that's more or less exactly the right answer. That was, of course, Jack O'Shea. But during the game, he actually became Jacqueline O'Shea. He's actually in the Guinness Book of Records as the only man to have an involuntary sex change during a Munster final. Now, we can have a look at this amazing operation. Here we go now. Now, there's the hand coming around there now. As you can see, he's got the hand in position there already. And off comes the Mickey. That's fantastic. Well done. So, well done. 3 points for that. So, for ye, we have something a bit more seasonal.
Right, so
I know.
they have a sports guy on their team, so they get a question about sports.
Yes.
So we can only assume that you have some specialist knowledge of Christmas trees.
Is it a Christmas tree being thrown over a wall? It's just a guess. Just a guess.
You're in the neighbourhood there, definitely. Yeah,
It's probably not actually been thrown over the wall. Is that not the famous Christmas tree escaping from the Christmas tree mental home? It's a very sad kind of a story in one way. You know, Christmas trees, like most of them, are from a fairly abusive background. You know, then suddenly they get a ray of hope in their life. They get taken in by a family at Christmas and covered in lights and baubles. And then before they know it, a couple of weeks later, they're thrown in a neighbour's skip under cover of darkness. And they're back in the street. So this place takes them in, but apparently it's not very nice. So this guy escaped one Christmas. It was made into a film. It's called Free Willy Tree. So this guy escaped and he wandered around at Christmas and he was looking in the windows at all the other Christmas trees dressed up in the baubles, kind of banging his little branches against the wall. Why can't I have a family? And he ended up drinking around the streets on Christmas. That could have been a Christmas tree. It's the right answer, isn't it, Monty?
It's not quite the right answer, but I will give you 2 points. Because you told that very poignant story, and because Eunice correctly observed that the Christmas tree was being thrown over the wall.
She's not just good looking.
She's not just good looking, she's not, no. Was Miley was he a considerate lover?
Well, he kept his teeth in, so perhaps.
Can't ask more than that, really, can you? Well, I think that when we see the rest of the VT, the answer is actually fairly self-explanatory. That's an example of the kind of thing that does happen.
And he's out, and he's away.
Well, that's an example of the kind of thing that does happen.
I love your man's microphone. That's the kind of Mr. Smoothie. Now, I love his microphone technique. Now, obviously, this was an item about fellas robbing Christmas trees. And later on, there was an interview with a senior guard in which he outlined their main weapon in the fight against this heinous crime.
Sergeant, you keep a pretty close eye on this kind of thing, don't you?
We do. We cooperate with forestry officials with the view to eliminating the theft of the Christmas trees.
Do you patrol, though, of course?
Yes, the area is patrolled by car and motorcycle patrols. Of course, we introduce the element of surprise.
Surprise! I'd say that fella's more than one surprise up his sleeve. All right,
You could say that fairy is on top of the trees.
So, after all those surprises, the scores are that Dara's team have 3 points and Brendan's team have 2 points. When we come back after the break, Eunice McMenamin gives tips on avoiding skin irritation if you have to spend the night in a barn. Back here in 2 minutes. Welcome back. First, some quick political news. It was proposed this week that the minimum age to become President of Ireland be reduced from 35 to just 18. This, of course, would usher in a new style of presidency. Rather than attending a lot of state functions, the new teenage president would spend a lot of time in a room smoking fags out the window, feeling depressed, saying, I can hate being president anyway. Time now for State of the Nation, where we test how much in tune our contestants are with the average acne-covered president on the street. This week we went to the capital of the New Ireland, the place that's full of foreigners.
Yes, this week we're in Dublin's trendy Temple Bar, which interestingly doesn't have a temple but does have lots of bars. And of course, as you know, it's been reported that Temple Bar has banned stag and hen parties from visiting the area. And visiting Temple Bar this week are an international group of colourblind tourists. And as in every other part of Dublin, the parking situation in Temple Bar is chronic. And here at the Gaiety School of Acting, a mime performance is in full flight. This one is called I'm a Pretentious Wanker.
Specially commissioned for the programme, that was, actually. Actually, every time now we go out and do these things, because, months ago now, the fella said, don't feed the bollocks, everyone now that sees us tries to come up with a slag. And actually, that fella with the luminous shoes, he was with a group of other young fellas, and they all kind of stopped when they saw us, going, don't feed the bollocks, and your mum was going, no, I'm going to come up with something original now, hang on now. And he was standing there thinking, and all his friends had gone off. And eventually he said, you're useless! Jeez, I'm telling you, Eddie Izzard did have nothing on him. Dara? You go first. You got an aviation question. The question is, this week Ryanair said it was going to have to cancel 5 new routes because of high airport charges. Do you think that's really the case, or is Ryanair just a shite airline? We asked this man. Did he say, A, I'm not answering that, you're a vulgarian? B, Jesus, I've got 2 Viagra tablets and they're burning a hole in my pocket. Know what I mean? Or C, someday I'm going to own a big super atomic ray gun and then you'll all be sorry. Sorry, do you hear?
As to Ryanair cancelling 5 routes, I presume that the 5 routes that Ryanair are cancelling are all the ones to Brussels that they've been trying to sell for ages. Because when they started the cheap fares, it was always London for £49, Paris for £59, and Brussels. Everyone go to Brussels. Come on, go to Brussels. Come on. But you go to Brussels, because it's only the Brussels Tourist Board and Ryanair are really pushing Brussels at the moment. And there's nothing there. All people pay their £49 and go, why the hell are we here? So the Ryanair, I think, have finally got rid of the Brussels thing. In terms of those answers, I would suspect it's the first one. About you being a Bulgarian.
Let's have a look at the VT and find out.
Excuse me, sir. Could I ask you a quick question, please? It was reported in the papers this week that Ryanair is thinking of cancelling 5 new routes because of high airport charges. Do you think that's really the case, or is it just that Ryanair are a shite airline?
Well, I wouldn't answer that. If you ask me in proper language, then I might answer you. You're a Bulgarian.
And he had horrible shoes on as well.
The old Dublin wit.
The old Dublin wit there. So, Michael, the question is that business owners in Temple Bar say they're sick of seeing naked men tied to lampposts. Should the Irish bishops choose a different venue for their annual outing next year? We asked this man. Did he say A, speaking as a professional bodybuilder, I disapprove strongly of drug taking? B, they shouldn't change the venue with respects to the bishops? Or C, naked men tied to lampposts? You're bringing back some great memories there, Sean.
Yeah, you see, Temple Bar thought they invented all this kind of stuff, but I mean, we used to do that. You're from Galway, Sean, as well. We used to do that down the Comer Ballroom like 20 years ago. Yeah. But the problem, it wasn't that you were trying to be shown
Cheers
off.
of excitement there.
Somebody from Comer. But no, what...
Comer Ballroom.
Did you ever...
The Comer Ballroom. Not very subtle, I would have thought.
Have you never been to the Comer Ballroom?
No, I've never arrived at the Comer Ballroom.
Actually, the problem was, the old jack to the Comer Ballroom was very small. So if you're in a hurry, you'd have to go outside. But you see, if you were very pissed, you'd have to get your friends, you see, to tie you onto the lamppost because you'd keep falling down yourself. But then they were so pissed they'd forget about you, leave you out there. You'd have to wait for the bus driver to come out.
In fact, George Michael was saying this thing. The jacks, he kept saying the jacks in the Comer Ballroom are so small. They really are.
Anyway, I think it was B.
You think it was B? They shouldn't change the venue with respect to the bishops? Let's have a look at the VT and find out.
Business owners in Temple Bar say they're sick of seeing naked men tied to lampposts. Do you think the Irish bishop should choose a different venue for their annual outing next year?
Oh, no. The same venue, I think, should do.
All right, what?
With all due respect to the bishops.
Sorry, I have to go and tie myself to a pole. I'm in a hurry. So, Eunice, your question is about the Metal Mickey, the Millennium Spire. The question we asked was that this week Dublin Corporation announced it is to site a huge erection on O'Connell Street. Should we stick it up straight away, or should we wait to sit in it for a while to see how it feels? We asked this man, did he say A, that's dirty man? B, when I'm alone, I like to slip on very tight shorts and dance to the music of Linda Martin. Or C, said the wife of the Bishop of Goa, this life is a terrible boa. I'm covered in sweat and you haven't come yet and the time's 4:45. Only in Dublin would Goa rhyme with boa. Boa.
It has to be B. I mean, let's face it, who hasn't gone around in scantily tight shorts listening to Linda Martin?
Is that how you badge?
All over Ireland now, men have this image stuck in their head. Or some men are thinking of Brendan O'Connor in little ties dancing in the rhythm of Linda Martin. And let's have a look at the VT and find out.
So the wife of the Bishop of Goa, this life's a terrible boa. I'm covered in sweat and you haven't come yet and the time's 4:45.
Thanks very much, sir.
You thought the other two guys were weird. Finally, Brendan, your question concerns the Rear of the Year Awards, which were the winners were announced this week, and the winners were the model Amanda Byram and Jerry Ryan. Interestingly enough. Now, you probably all saw the pictures of Amanda bending over and showing her bottom to the cameras, and there were very few pictures of Jerry. Now, apparently this is because of a technical problem, that there wasn't enough light, because when Jerry bent over, he caused a partial eclipse of the sun. So the question we asked was, this week Jerry Ryan was named as having the best backside in Ireland. Does this mean Jerry is now getting recognition for being the complete arsehole he always was? We asked this man, did he say A, Jerry Ryan's backside, what here in Dublin, quick, run for your lives? Or B, I saw it once in Clonskea and it was huge? Or C, I won't hear a word said against Jerry Ryan, that man is a consummate professional and a credit to the... No, hang on, he is a complete arsehole.
A lot of people are kind of surprised that Jerry Ryan won the Rear of the Year. But the thing is, it's not all about looks. It's not an exploitative competition. And Jerry's ass was behind after the swimsuit and the evening wear section. But in the interviews, apparently, it did very well, and that's how it won. And it said it would like to go and work with children and do a PhD and travel the world. And of course, Jerry was better at talking through there than most of the other contestants were. So having said all that and weighing up the evidence, I would say B, unless you told him what to say, in which case it's A or C.
B, let's have a look at the VT and find out.
Excuse me, sir. Could I ask you a quick question, please?
Certainly, yeah.
This week, Jerry Ryan was named as having the best backside in Ireland. Do you think this means that Jerry's finally getting recognition for the complete arsehole that he is?
Backside a few years ago, yes. Definitely getting a recognition.
And when what
arsehole, I can tell you that much.
What context did you see his arsehole, can I say?
I was up in a garage up in Clonskea, I remember. He was getting his, I think it was a BMW fixed at the time. About,
BMW?
About 5-6 years ago, yes, Clonskea, and it was huge.
It's not every day you get to slag the arse off Jerry Ryan in a literal sense. So after all that, I'm afraid the scores are that Dara's team got 4 points and Brendan's team got 2 points. We've only enough double entendres left to stick up the back end of our programme. Our final round, 60 seconds of facts. Each team gets asked a minute's worth of questions about the week's events. They get a point for the right answer, or 2 if they can get a laugh out of our specially bust-in from the Bulgarian embassy audience. Dara and Michael, your 60 seconds of facts starts now. The Minister for Arts, Sheila De Valera, has said she intends to make an additional payment of £1.2 million to what?
I do.
Jerry Ryan's art.
Blackmailer. She's compromising photographs of her and Mary Harney.
Tina G is the actual answer. Members of Fianna Fáil have been suggesting that Ireland should rejoin the what?
The real world. The 1950s.
The Commonwealth is the actual answer. According to a new report, the fall in the national birth rate has meant that investment in what is now crucial?
Viagra.
Vibrating beds and Barry White music.
Adult education, more or less the same thing. According to a city councillor, Dubliners are being poisoned by bad quality what?
Classic hits radio.
Quiz shows. Quiz shows.
Air is the actual answer. According to a new book, Roy Keane's fantasy is to share a bubble bath with who?
With Sheila De Valera and Mary Harney.
Jennifer Aniston is the actual answer. 200 people in Finglas are to be employed in a new high-tech factory making what?
Coffee.
Jokes to this programme.
Sandwiches is the actual answer. It's worse than that. Speaking at a book launch last week, Bertie Ahern appealed to trade union movement not to abandon the system of what?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Social partnership is the actual answer. Brendan and Eunice, your 60 seconds of facts starts now. Playboy lists the world's 100 sexiest women, contains only 5 what?
Members of Azon.
Brain cells.
Britain's is the actual answer. In England, a transvestite prison officer claimed he was handed out of his job because of his what?
His heroin problem.
Because of his double life is the actual answer. Last week, Tony Blair said to Bertie Ahern, "You've been what?"
Shagging my wife.
Tango.
Fantastic is the actual answer. Hollywood heartthrob Burt Reynolds has postponed his upcoming what?
Death.
Marriage is the actual answer. Baywatch is to be axed after sagging what?
Sagging Michael Hasselhoff.
Ratings is the actual answer. Mary Hennigs is suing Mars after allegedly finding what in her topic bar?
Krista Berg.
A mouse's skull is the actual answer. The majority of 16 to 18-year-olds in Meath are spending £40 a week on what?
John Bruton's daughter.
Booth is the actual answer. Barry Lang gave up his drive time slot on 2FM 8 months ago to become a full-time what?
Git.
Pilot is the actual answer. After last week's show, Jackie Healy-Rae said that Sean Moncrief should be in what?
Showbiz.
Politics is the actual answer, but I'm not giving you the 2 points for Jake. And so after that round, and at the end of the entire show, the final scores are that Brendan's team scored 15 points, but Dara's team scored 18 points, and they're tonight's winners. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. That was style.
And so ends another trip down sarcastic lane, thanks to Dara's guest, Michael Lester. And with Brendan, Eunice McManaman. Kisses. But as we go, the stiletto in the ghetto, the skewer in the sewer, the stiffy by the liffey. Already, Dublin's Millennium Spire has more nicknames than it needs, so earlier on, I rang Ian Ritchie Architects, the London-based company who designed the spire, to make an inquiry on behalf of a small village in the west of Ireland. Thanks for helping us feed the gondolas. Good night.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Cross, is it?
Correct, yes.
Hello, Mr. And you're an associate of Mr. Ritchie's, are you?
I am.
That's great. Thank you very much for taking time out to talk to me now. I just have a little inquiry for you, and I hope this doesn't sound a bit silly now. But my name is Monica Looley, and I'm not ringing you from Dublin, actually. I'm ringing you from a little village in the west of Ireland, in Galway, called the Hasgraw. You probably haven't heard of it. It's very small. But it was in all the papers yesterday about Mr. Ritchie and his Millennium... I don't know what is it a stick or what you'd call it?
We'd call it a spire.
A spire, right. But no, it's a fabulous looking thing now. It's great altogether now. But I'm actually, we're a little village and I'm chairperson of the Millennium Committee. You see, for our celebrations now, it's obviously they're very small, we're only a little village. But the thing was, you see, the committee members now, because it was in all the papers yesterday, all the pictures of the spire and Mr. Ritchie with it and all that.
Yeah.
And the committee members got a bit concerned, because we had a similar idea to that, you see. Now, let me tell you what we're going to do. We've already bought a couple of telegraph poles off a farmer over in Connaught, which is just close by, a fella called Mickey Joe Flavin. And he sold us a couple of telegraph poles that he says he owns himself anyway, but you know, you never know, fellas over in Connaught are savages. Anyway, I'm getting off the point, this has nothing to do with it. The thing is that the plan was, was that we'd get these telegraph poles, we'd paint them white, and we'd stick them up in the middle of the village, you see. And as there was a countdown to the millennium, we'd get some of our local celebrities to throw tractor tyres over the top of it as a kind of a countdown thing, you know. Throwing tractor tyres is a kind of a local sport around here. And we already have Pascal, who's from a local group called Pascal's Country Sound. I don't know if you know them. You probably don't. What am I talking about? But anyway, we have him, and we also have the oldest man in the village. His name is Micheline McDoo, and he's actually blind now, and he has no legs, but he's off the cigarettes and he's doing very well. The point was, what they wanted me to ask you now was that there wouldn't be a copyright thing or anything like that. There wouldn't be any...
There would indeed be a pretty strong copyright on this one, yeah.
Oh, would there now? There'd be a problem there.
just a small problem. But look, I do like the sound of your scheme. I think that would fall outside the laws of copyright.
Would it?
Sounds different to
to be honest with you now, the village goes bananas during the new year anyway, with the drink and everything. And sure, the thing won't be up 3 hours and somebody will have chopped it down and have it in the fire 5 hours later, you know. So it wouldn't be there for very long anyway.
I'm gonna have to go at this point. But can I just wish you luck on your scheme?
Well, thank you very much.
I look forward very much to seeing it published.
I must say, you're not Mr. Cross by nature. Thanks very much, Mr. Cross. Bye bye now. Hello, Noalia.
Nu byder vi på en times komedieserier. Vi starter i New York, hvor der er noget, der